Welcome to the convert phase. You are here in the customer value journey. Now I'm going to start with a story because I feel like convert sounds a lot like content because it is. Convert here on the LinkedIn platform, you have a one kind of shot to do it. You can convert people into your tribe based on how good your content is, how relevant it is to them. But let me tell you a story about how powerful this thing is. So I wrote this article back in 2016, Why Cold Calling is Dead, and Jeff Weiner is my hero, the CEO of LinkedIn, because at the time I was a frustrated salesperson and LinkedIn was my platform. It was my bridge to be able to have conversations with prospects, to be thoughtful. I was doing it right. And this was the platform that was allowing me to do that. It was allowing me to be a different breed, a different type of salesperson. So I'm on a flight, or I'm about to be on a flight. I'm on the tarmac and I'm sitting in the seat looking out the window, and there are two gentlemen in front of me. They're having a conversation. Well, one guy's talking, okay? The other guy is sitting against the window. Now the guy in the middle seat looks at the gentleman on the window and before we take off says this question: what happens if the plane goes down? And I'm sitting there going, now I'm paying attention. And I look over here and I look at the guy in the middle seat and I immediately knew what he did for a living. He was a life insurance salesman. Yep, you guessed it, the worst person on the planet to ask that question before we take off because he was trying to sell life insurance. And the guy in the window is just like, oh, don't look at me, right? Like for 4 hours, they're about to get on this flight. And the first question is a crappy sales pitch, okay? Now look, I'm on the flight, I look ahead of me, all right? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull out my laptop, I'm mad, I'm drinking terrible mixer drinks, and I'm having Jack and Cokes, and I'm typing, and I wrote this article, okay? I wrote this article about how much I loathe salespeople and how we need to evolve. So I land, I think it was in San Francisco, I get to my hotel, I hit the post button, I close my laptop, and I go to bed. The next morning, I wake up, and here's the article, and the article has now 42,000 views. Thing went viral. 800 different people shared it. It's all over the world. I got people in South Africa and all over Europe, my friends there, were sending me my article and saying, someone sent this to me and it wasn't you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And people were commenting all the time. So you got people that love it. They're like, great article, found myself nodding all the way through. Thank you, Mike. Then you also look at Teresa, loved it. Thank you, Teresa, right? We also had my friend Baz in Australia who was like, man, this is transparent. It's vulnerable. Social selling coupled with talented salespeople can change the economy. We got really passionate people out there, right? We also have like, love this fantastic article I reposted. So did 800 other people. And you're seeing this. This is a second connection. These aren't even my connections. Now it's going viral. It's going to my second, third networks. It's going all over the place, right? And I'm like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. The interesting part is that not everybody loved it, okay? There is no traffic on the extra mile. Look at the tagline. Whether you think you can or can't, you are right. That is so deep, Paul. So deep. Okay. Ian says this: 2,888 likes and counting from salespeople that don't want a cold call. Look at his. Nothing happens till someone sells something. Well, isn't that boiler room of you? Okay. Huh? Yeah. Glengarry, Glengroff. You know what movie I'm talking about. Glengarry, Glenblah. You know what I'm talking about. Always be selling. We get it. We know what's going on. Dennis basically said, Marcus, this is nonsense. That's my favorite one. Like, no context. Marcus, this stinks. Like, what's going on? And then this guy wrote on it. Yeah. Marcus, thanks for your kind words. Best of luck with your webinar. And then his people reached out to me and they flew me here. This was my first time ever at LinkedIn's headquarters in San Francisco to sit on a panel to speak about modern selling. How are we doing this thing called social selling? How are we having conversations online that turn into really great sales? And this is crazy because I'm just a salesperson here. That's like the VP, all VPs of sales from like Adobe, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I was like, what am I doing here? And then I kept talking about it. They kept bringing me back. I was a part of the conversation. This was the day that they actually invited me to be on the customer advisory board, which is pretty great. By the way, this is pre-kid Marcus. Woo! Look how cool. This is post-kid Marcus. Vests, ready with a diaper bag. Like, this is me. This is not cool, right? But this was the day. This was a big day for me, and actually was really great. Another big day was that, just fast forward a little bit, they asked me to be a LinkedIn Learning instructor. This was the day that they made me an instructor on LinkedIn Learning, that I was going to do my first course. So it was a really exciting day for myself, Ryan Dice, Garner, who is out there, who's the group manager at LinkedIn, which is pretty exciting. I got invited back multiple times to hang out with this guy, Jeff Weiner, and sit in on the executive meetings and executive forums. This was the day that I actually shot my first course on LinkedIn. I was out in Santa Barbara doing how to market on LinkedIn was my first course on LinkedIn. It's super meta. Like I'm teaching someone how to do LinkedIn on that platform, which was cool, which was a really fun one. This was me shooting with the amazing crew out at LinkedIn Learning. This was my second course that just came out, which was aligning sales and marketing, which was awesome. And now you can find all of those on their platform of 22 million people and users. I wrote an article in 2016. Like, that's insane, okay? It's insane what a piece of content can do that starts the right type of conversation. Like, yes, timing, yes, relevancy, but it's so important to understand that this platform is that powerful. Now, if you're sitting there going like, I don't sit on planes. Hey, I wrote this article. I was like half drunk, okay, on the airplane. And I wrote this article and other people thought it was cool. I didn't write it to do this, but it changed my life. A piece of content can do that if it starts the right type of conversation. And if you're sitting there going like, I'm not going to write that. Well, cool. Here's an opportunity for you. Original posts do really, really well too. Sharing your personality, knowing who you are is going to attract the right type of people. And then all of a sudden, you've got a tribe of people that are totally ascribe to who you are and what you want to talk about. Like, for example, people ask me all the time, like, what do you actually write about? And I go, I write about everyday stuff all the time. Yes, I write about like, hey, here are the things you should be doing in selling. Here's the things you should be doing in leadership. I write about those things, but I also write about just nonsense, things that come to my mind and things that you usually don't write about. Like you'll have crazy thoughts like me, like this one. I said, hey, feeling stressed out. I found my new stress tactic and it's better than cocaine. It's shredding. Shredding. Oh my gosh, where are my shredders at? I know you're raising your hand right now. It is the most gratifying thing. You shred paper, you shred CDs, DVDs, exes photos. Like it is the best, most freeing thing. Just hear that noise and shred away, right? Well, that post got 43,000 views in the first 2 days because for some reason, all these other people were like, literally wrote, haha, I thought I was the only one. You know, these are like the best posts because for some reason you're finding your tribe through the funniest stuff. And then you get to write and have this conversation, right? Strength in numbers. And then I tag people and it's really great, right? I'm 100% with you on this one. We had a shredder that destroyed CDs, DVDs. It was amazing. Great, right? And I'm engaging with them. I'm leaning into these really funny conversations. And not everybody liked it, okay? And you can compare it to cocaine because #sobriety society. What you don't write back to people like that is that you just love the smell, okay? Which only makes that conversation go one way. But here's the deal. If you know your character diamond and you understand who you represent, your company, and I understand this is drug humor, maybe it's not happy for everybody, but it's funny to me. And here's the deal. When it really went viral is when you think that's bad when you say something like that, but then your CEO says something like this. Wow, that's a bold statement because I know how much you love cocaine. That didn't help. It didn't help at all Ryan Deiss, our CEO of Digital Marketer. But I'll tell you what, it went viral because of that. And there were so many conversations to be had. They also they knew we're funny. We don't take ourselves so seriously, which is great. I want to attract the people that also believe those same things and started conversations. Here's another idea. This was the day that I got invited into the LinkedIn Learning. I wrote a post about it, talking about how grateful I was. That got 23,000 views. Sometimes they're really simple things like, hey, what's the worst career advice you've ever received? Some of those questions are literally conversational because they are a question. I'm asking a question for you to give me a response. 24,000 views later, we have 84 comments from people that are giving me all kinds of advice. And now I get to engage them and start joining them in the conversation. LinkedIn has also done something really great over the last 2 years, and video has emerged on the scene. Now, we're very familiar with that because Facebook and some other platforms have actually done that way before LinkedIn, but LinkedIn was worried because they're like, what kind of videos are going to be posted on this platform? So they slowly rolled out a beta for native video. Now, native video was where you can take your video and natively upload it onto the platform, but they were worried that it was going to be like cat videos and stuff like that. But guess what? It's a professional context. So they're professional videos. I did this one after when I was running. The reason why I put this one up, this is not attractive. This is sweaty me after a long run where I was really out of breath and dying, but I got this really great idea that the 5 closest people in your life either obviously help you where you're going or they, take away from where you're going. And I had a quick thought about it. 6,000 views later, a bunch of different people were commenting and writing about it. I got text messages offline. That's how I knew it was impactful. I had friends of mine saying, man, this is exactly what I need to hear. So you need to get over yourself. Like if you want to put videos up online, you don't need to look amazing. You just need to open up and start talking and sharing and being vulnerable enough to start the conversation, because the conversation is bigger than you. So if you remember that, it doesn't matter what you look like. We also had more curated things at Digital Marketer. We did a LinkedIn roasting session, right? Which was basically me tearing apart people's profiles unbeknownst to them, which is nice. And so I would go in and do these. These got huge engagements. They're really great ways to be able to, when you're scrolling through a feed, see a really great piece of video. And people like to learn different ways. So video is really huge. Now that brings me to this point, right? People ask me like, is it about the reach? Is it about the impact? And I'll tell you right now that if your goal is actually to be more impactful, then you're on the right path. These videos, this content that you're putting out in the world, it just needs to be impactful. That's what it's a great measuring thing when I get a text message from a friend of mine saying, hey, I needed to hear your video. That wasn't in the comments on LinkedIn, but it prompted them to reach out to me and start a conversation. Now, native video is somewhat overwhelming for people because they're like, how do I get so much content and how do I do it in a meaningful way? Many times it's setting up a camera in your office or somewhere quiet and shooting and having somebody ask you 10 to 15 questions and then cutting those up and creating this mini series of you answering these questions. This has worked really well for us. 90 seconds, about a 90 to 100 second video is where things are really moving and shaking. Now here's the exciting part. LinkedIn now has live video. That was big. It's a huge announcement this past year in 2019. This was huge for them because it gives them a component where people can go live right now. Now we've seen it on Instagram, we've seen it on Facebook, but this is the first time as a professional that you could do this. Now, this is now rolled out to everybody, but I was a part of the original beta. I was trying to test it out. I was doing, different kind of tours around the office. I was also doing, pieces where instead of writing a post, I would just do a quick, let me get in front of the camera, more curated. This is way more man on the street interview kind of live. This is way more curated in the studio. Obviously, you can see the difference. Both of them did very well, but here's my word of caution to you. They don't have a great way of letting people know that you're going live. In fact, it's just popping up. It's really disruptive. So if you're going to do a live video, plan them out. Try not to be so frequent with them, because actually when I was doing it a lot, I actually lost followers. I lost connections because I was disrupting their day, especially because most of that information needs to be really, really relevant because it'll pop up on their phone, on their inbox saying Marcus Murphy's going live. Well, it better be important enough for them to click out of whatever they're doing to do so. So I like native video. I like being able to maybe not necessarily let everyone know I got a video there, but let them watch it when they want to. So if you've perfected this, go ahead and play around with it, but be cautious about how many people are connected to you and if you're being disruptive. So I'm telling you, content starts conversations. Good, relevant content starts conversations. And honestly, based on my story, it can absolutely change your life.